The whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished. I believe we're going to have the most successful economy in history. We inherited a mess. Now prices are coming way down. Gasoline is less than $2 in some states, $1.99. 197, 190.
Powerful empires are almost never conquered from the outside. They rot, they fracture, they completely destroy themselves from within. What we're unpacking in today's explainer applies this exact, historically fatal pattern directly to the highest levels of modern American power. And let me tell you, when the collapse starts, it is incredibly fast. The source material we're looking at exposes an immediate, visceral panic happening right now behind closed doors, specifically pointing to the current Republican Party. Members are actively telling reporters they want to lose the upcoming midterms. They're calling their own situation, quote, effed. Representative Chip Roy publicly calls it a shit show. The text claims they would literally rather hand power over than continue to try to function under this current level of chaos. So
the gentleman to yield to me is precisely the response we just heard. You know what really the problem is? People want to get home to fundraisers. People want to get home to dinners. People want to go back to their districts and go on trips. They have Codels. Meanwhile, the American people are wondering what on earth is happening in this town.
The gentleman will suspend.
Thank the Speaker. The American people are wondering what on earth is happening when they look at this body and see what we failed to do. We're continuing every single day to drive this entire country into bankruptcy. $40 trillion, government spying on the people, failure to stop.
This raises a genuinely terrifying question. Why do powerful people, political parties, and massive empires destroy themselves? How does the political chaos we're seeing right now in Washington tie directly into ancient military slaughters? Well, the source argues this isn't just random political noise. It's a predictable, deeply fatal psychological unraveling. To understand how this works, the text uses a very specific framework, Carl Jung's concept of the shadow. According to Jung, every collective group has a shadow. It represents their repressed weaknesses, their contradictions, the internal darkness they refuse to look at. And the source makes a brutal point here. When a collective refuses to confront that darkness, the unconscious erupts. It divides the group, it destroys it from the inside out.
Today, more potential warning signs for Republicans in the midterms. A new poll from the Cook Political Report finds that Democrats are currently leading battleground districts by 6 points on a generic congressional ballot. And quote, if that advantage were to hold come November, any district Trump carried by 10 points or less could be in significant danger of flipping into Democratic.
You can see this happening by looking at the massive gap between projected strength and self-inflicted chaos. On one side, you have Speaker Mike Johnson and Donald Trump projecting absolute control. Johnson claims Republicans are the grown-ups in charge who deliver, but the text reveals the unconscious chaos brewing behind those closed doors. MAGA Republicans are reportedly hoping to lose the midterms just so Democrats take the blame until 2028. This massive gap between projected strength and internal panic? That is exactly what it looks like when the shadow takes over.
Section 1. Historical warnings in the psychological rout.
The first historical warning the source points to takes us all the way back to 216 BC, the Battle of Cannae. The Roman army had massive numbers and incredibly tight, rigid formations. But Hannibal didn't beat them with numbers. He used psychological warfare. He splintered the Roman lines, isolating individual soldiers. The source explicitly maps this onto today. Rome's rigid formations were broken by psychological isolation, and today the text argues the Republican Party's rigid ideology is breaking the exact same way. Democrats are simply waiting for internal panic and retreat. 70,000 dead in Rome. Midterms slipping away right now.
To back this up, the text highlights a military analysis by Colonel Arden Dupuque. His conclusion? Great victories are entirely psychological. The strategy is devastatingly simple. Make the enemy feel alone and betrayed by their own structure. The deadliest wound is always self-inflicted. When soldiers or politicians drop their weapons because they feel exposed and abandoned by the people standing right next to them, the slaughter is swift. The source argues this is the exact psychological state of the Republican conference as we speak.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure that all we really needed was a new president. In recent years, our justice system has been turned upside down by radical left lunatics. And
The second historical warning brings us to the Weimar Republic. Post-World War I, conservative forces shared goals but fractured over class lines. By the mid-1920s, internal rivalries completely paralyzed their decision-making, even while their leaders projected false strength. Instead of confronting their dark, repressed forces, they'd tried to manipulate them. By 1933, the divided right collapsed entirely, paving the way for total dictatorship. Ignoring a collective shadow doesn't make it disappear. It just ensures the eruption is fatal.
Section 2. Exposing the modern cracks.
The source rapid-fires a massive volume of current events to prove this psychological breakdown is happening right now. Department of Homeland Security funding flips, missing ICE support, the renewal of warrantless FISA 702 spying, massive internal battles over the Farm Bill and glyphosate immunity, Pam Bondi's May 29th deposition regarding the Epstein files, Ron DeSantis aggressively redrawing maps for political war, fake legislative deals involving central bank digital currency, and completely ignored kill switches in cars. Every single one of these internal fights widens the structural cracks.
The text specifically zeroes in on the Farm Bill disaster. Representatives Anna Paulina Luna and Thomas Massie teamed up to strip cancer-linked glyphosate immunity from the bill, which actively exposed their own colleagues. Joe Neguse cross-examined a Republican live on the floor. Representative McGovern blasted the bill, arguing it gives kids on SNAP sugar drinks while leaving seniors stranded in the ER. The group is literally turning its weapons inward.
And the psychological toll of all this is highly visible. The source highlights Representative Dan Muser getting caught on camera acting visibly triggered and defensive. Internal trust is completely evaporating, the conscious political strategy is failing, and the unconscious shadow, the panic, the anger, the defensiveness, is completely taking the wheel. Just look at the leadership's response. Speaker Mike Johnson sends the House home until May 11th. Endless recesses while agencies face major crises and TSA workers go without pay. According to the source's framework, avoiding your basic responsibilities does not project strength. It's a desperate retreat. It leaves the political base totally exposed to conquest because the party cannot even hold its own ranks together. The document outlines a terrifying three-stage pattern of collapse. Step 1, a total loss of internal trust. Members no longer believe leaders like Donald Trump or Mike Johnson can actually protect them. Step 2, voter disgust reaches critical mass as the public watches the dysfunction play out. Step 3, complete exposure to conquest. The ranks break entirely and power shifts decisively. The source grounds this fear in one hard data point: 3. This is the third shutdown in 6 months. The joints are breaking right now, all while the country barrels toward a $40 trillion debt. The text argues this isn't just standard Washington gridlock. It is the final stage of the psychological rout before an absolute electoral slaughter. The explainer leaves us with a chilling, unresolved question. Which path do you see us walking right now? The one where they somehow manage to pull together, or the one where the shadow finishes what it started? The core takeaway here is absolutely brutal. Once the joints break, the slaughter is incredibly swift.